Hello, how are you all? I hope you are well wherever you are, and that you are happy. May God keep you happy and give you long life with good health. To all the people who are troubled, may God remove their problems. May God give relief to all the people who are sick and forgive all the people who have left this world. Today, a story has come on your favorite topic, the story of the truck driver, which you have been waiting for impatiently. Protect yourself because you heard that when these creatures are mentioned, they come very close to you and start listening to their talks. If possible, look under your bed and turn on the light in your room to see if there is anyone else in the room apart from you. Now, let's go towards your story. Before starting, please kindly subscribe to the channel for such amazing stories. Thanks. Hello, my name is Friday, and this story happened with my grandfather and grandmother. My grandfather was a truck driver and used to drive trucks in Abbottabad. He was a very strong person. One day, it so happened that my grandfather's family, i.e., my grandmother and my 4 grandpas, had gone to Islamabad to their elder son's house. They had to return to Abbottabad. Most people would know about Thandia Nahi because people go there for sightseeing. Riani is also about 2 to 2.5 hours away from Ahmad. When my grandfather finished his work, he told my grandmother, "Come, I will take you all home because I have no other work right now. I am done." Everyone thought it was okay and left for their journey. After having lunch, they left Islamabad by 1 p.m. You might think, who travels with his family on a truck? Let me tell you, this was a matter of old times. Back then, people of the village had to travel like this out of compulsion. It was not an easy task to travel, and it was a very long journey. Coming back to the story, the beginning of the journey was very peaceful. In this way, they reached Abbottabad. It was getting dark slightly, and the journey ahead was going to be very scary, but they had no idea about this. My grandmother was sitting on the first seat of the truck, and her younger sister was also with her. It was my daughter, and the other 3 daughters were in the back of the truck. The truck was covered with a tarpaulin from behind. The journey continued, and it became very dark. This road was so quiet and deserted even during the day that it was difficult to drive. There was a mountain on one side and a deep ravine on the other. The ground was so steep that nothing was visible. Only what was illuminated by the truck's headlights could be seen. Now I realized that out of my 3 puppies who were sitting in the back of the truck, 2 had fallen asleep, and the eldest puppy, who was awake, was very scared. They had no idea what was going to happen to them. My grandfather had put on the radio. My grandmother, traveling like this for the first time, was very scared. There were no hotels on this road, no houses, and no population far and wide. My puppies repeatedly felt as if something wrong was going to happen. She was looking at the tarpaulin again and again. The ground was so steep that nothing was visible, but a strange feeling was coming again and again that something was wrong. There were dangerous turns, and the truck was climbing the hill. While driving the truck, a strong object hit the truck, and everyone immediately got scared. Grandpa immediately braked the truck and thought for a long time about what it was. Grandma said in fear, "What happened?" Grandpa said, "Nothing. I will see." Grandpa got down from the truck and looked at the whole truck from all sides, but could not understand anything. There was no stone or anything on the road. Grandpa consoled everyone and said, "There is nothing. Let's go now." But Grandpa himself was also thinking about what it could be. In the same way, the journey started again, and after some time, the truck stopped with a jerk. Even after trying to start it, it did not start. Even after trying again and again, it could not start. Now the truck had stopped at a very dangerous turn. Grandpa got down and put stones under the tires of the truck so that it would not go backward because there was a lot of depth behind. Grandpa checked the truck thoroughly and tried to start it again, but the truck could not start. Now everyone was helpless. There was no other way. Grandpa told Grandma to rest in the rear part of the truck because the truck was well prepared for the journey. Blankets were put in the truck, and Grandmother sat behind with all her daughters. But there was no point in resting. She was dying of fear. Grandfather started assessing the situation outside and looking at the truck. My grandmother and Puppy saw the tarpaulin on the truck for air and started screaming loudly. Grandfather, who was in the front of the truck, came running and asked, "What happened?" Grandmother told him, and then Grandfather thought it was her illusion and said, "You all are scared. That is why it seems like this." Then my youngest Puppy had to go to the washroom, and Grandmother took her a little ahead. Grandmother saw that someone was standing near a tree ahead, and he looked completely white. Grandmother said to the Puppy in fear, "Hurry up! Hurry up!" Grandmother wanted the Puppy not to see anything because she was very young, only 10 or 11 years old. As soon as the Puppy finished, Grandmother quickly came with him to the truck and did not say anything to anyone because that place and time were already very scary, and such things could create more fear. Then sounds started coming as if some people were present in the forest. This was unbelievable, but voices were clearly audible. Grandpa got tired and sat in the truck. It was late at night, and it was cold too because it is cold there in every season. Well, it was the month of March, and the road was such that it was not possible to walk because there was a lot of danger from wild animals. It was a compulsion to wait till morning because there was no phone to call anyone. Grandpa locked the truck and lowered the rafters, and everyone started resting. A few minutes had passed when the truck horn started ringing, and it seemed as if someone was shaking the truck vigorously. Everyone started screaming out of fear. After a few seconds, all this stopped. Grandpa got down and started to go and see. Grandma said, "I will also go with you. You should not go alone." Hearing Grandma's words, the Puppy said, "We are scared. Everyone will go together." Then everyone got down from the truck and went towards the front of the truck. But there was nothing there. The truck was locked just as they had left it. Everyone was dying out of fear. Grandma had a torch with her, and she looked around all the places, but nothing was visible. Grandpa showed everyone the torch and asked them to go back in the truck because they all had understood that something was not right there. Allah's other creatures were present there, but one Puppy was not going without holding her hand. She was the same Puppy who had gone to the washroom. Grandfather held her hand tightly and made her sit in the truck. Grandmother and Grandfather were continuously praying. Grandfather thought of starting the truck, and it started at once. Everyone thanked him, and the truck started moving. Now Grandfather was driving the truck alone because everyone was scared, and the Puppy was silent. During this time, Grandfather saw many creatures walking along with the truck, but he was a very brave person and was driving the truck so that they could reach home quickly. Everyone was very scared. There was a turn ahead. Grandfather saw a woman standing in white clothes, but her face was not visible, and she was standing on the side of the road. Grandfather knew that this could not be a human being, so he started reciting the verses of the Quran loudly, which he remembered, and drove the truck at full speed and crossed it. Now Grandfather was also scared, because after all, he was a human being. There was no fear of those things. One gets scared, right? A little while had passed when suddenly my sister started making loud noises and jumping in the truck. Dada immediately stopped the truck on the side and went to see that Poo-Poo was not in her senses. Everyone was trying to stop her by holding her. Dada said, "What are you doing?" "Stop." Poo-Poo got down from the truck and started running on the road in the dark. Forgetting everything, everyone ran to catch her, but she was not coming in their hands. Dada caught her, but she had so much strength that she freed her hand and started running again. And now, something was about to happen that no one could have even imagined. She ran towards a deep ditch and fell down from there. Everyone kept making noises and shouting, but no one heard her voice. The situation was the same from the front, and neither could they go down, nor could they do anything. Suddenly, the sound of someone laughing came. The whole ditch started echoing with sounds. It seemed as if someone was very happy. After all this, there was a presence of someone or something everywhere. The whole night passed, and it started getting light. But there was no sound or sight of Poo-Poo. Everyone was crying and sitting in this distressed state. As soon as it was morning, a passenger vehicle passed by. They stopped the vehicle and told everything. They were also surprised and got down to see. After waiting for some time, they left and said that they would tell someone. They went and informed the police, who also came for help, but could not find anything. Everyone was distressed with grief, but could not do anything. In a state of helplessness, they went home and told the entire incident to the Imam Sahab of the village. When he calculated, he found out that this trouble was caused by the jinnat. Songs were playing on the radio, disturbing the jinnat's sleep. And where Poo-Poo had gone to the washroom, the jinnat was sleeping on the floor. Now Poo-Poo is no more in this world. The jinnat took her with them, and she was never found. Similarly, there was a big tree near their house that was also covered with shadow, and due to this, one of my Poo-Poos died. Afterward, everyone died in Islamabad. They were killed and left this house. They did not go to the village until another house was built in the village. Such a huge loss was incurred because of this incident. Now both my grandparents are no more in this world. May God forgive them. Amen. This was my story, each and every word of which is true. My Papo is sitting with me, who was there and was the eldest. Each and every word is true. This incident has remained memorable for the whole life. May God keep everyone in His safety. Amen. If you like my story, then do share it on your channel. I have heard all the stories from both your channels. I wanted to share my story too for a long time, but was unable to find time. This is a long story, but it is based on the truth. I have narrated it very briefly. My aunt was telling me while crying. Thank you, God Hafiz. Friends, she had sent her story to me through a voice message, and when she was sharing it, her aunt was also sitting with her. She said that you should share it in your own words. Thank you very much that you shared your story with us. All those who were a part of this story are no more in this world. May Allah forgive them and elevate their status. Amen. We move towards another story. Assalamu alaikum, my name is Haris, and I am a truck driver by profession. This is from 6 years ago. I will not share the name of the place whose story I am going to share, because now a good project has been built there, and villas are being built there and sold to people, and now there is a lot of liveliness there. But when this incident happened, new construction had started there. Let me just tell you that this was a project near the mountains of Murray, where I was coming from Islamabad. I had to reach that place with construction material on a truck. Well, I set out on my way. The road was at a very high height, so I was driving at a very low speed. By the time I reached there, the owners had said that when you reach there, please call us. When I reached there, the truck had already been taken there, so that is why there were no people to unload the goods. When I talked to the owner, he said that you should stay there. So I spent the night there, unloaded my luggage in the morning, and then left from there. Anyway, I did the same. I stayed there for the night. Now let me explain the map. It was the slope of the mountain. There were trees all around, which were a special point in the forest. The trees were in very large numbers. Their trunks were so big that the trees were at a very high height, meaning the sky was barely visible. There was a hut built between such dense trees where I had to spend the night. I parked the truck on the side. The place where I had to deliver the luggage was a hut being built. Now let me explain the map. It was the slope of the mountain. There were trees all around, which were a special point in the forest. The trees were in very large numbers. Their trunks were so big that the trees were at a very high height, meaning the sky was barely visible. There was a hut built between such dense trees where I had to spend the night. I parked the truck on the side. The place where I had to deliver the luggage was a hut being built. Now, let me tell you, it was not as if a whole colony was being built. Huts were being built far away from the gap. I reached the location of a hut. The workers had built a small room where a watchman or a person like me could barely stay. It was a small room with a cot, a bed, and a water cooler. I had to spend the night there. We truck drivers often sleep inside the truck if night falls anywhere and we feel sleepy. But I had a better option this time. I parked the truck, locked it, and went to lie down in that hut. It was already late at night when I switched off the lights of the truck. It became very dark. Till now, I had no idea about the intentions of the atmosphere. As soon as I switched off the truck and the lights, the atmosphere became so gloomy and spooky that I started getting strange vibes from this place. I had to spend the whole night there, and the desolation and horror of this place was spreading its fear in my heart. During the day, the laborers were there, but at night, this place was desolate and deserted. No man, no species of man, nor any animal was visible far and wide. I opened the bed that was fixed near the panth on the cot placed in the hut and laid it down. I had a phone with me and started scrolling on it to pass my time. I thought that when I feel sleepy, I would sleep. I could see the atmosphere outside, and I could feel the terror inside as well. I got up and packed the hut somehow, so that there was not even the slightest gap anywhere. I wanted to assure myself that no one should come inside from outside. This place was a jungle or a bad place. No one else, not even a wild animal, should come inside. I lay down quietly. I was scrolling on Facebook on my mobile, but my heart and mind were outside. I was using the phone to keep myself busy, but my attention was not on the phone at all. Now I reduced its volume as well, so that it doesn't attract anyone nearby. I muted the sound completely. Now I kept trying to sleep. It's winter season, and when you don't run the fan, turn off everything at 2 a.m, mute your phone, and keep it aside. Then listen to the silence. Sometimes silence can be heard. Yes, it can be heard. In that silence, there's a different kind of terror and a different kind of silence. I was feeling that panic and felt as if someone was walking outside. The sound of someone's footsteps started coming. It felt as if there was someone around the hut. My eyes opened, but I kept lying in the blanket and listened to that sound. As I had mentioned, the silence outside was so intense that even a small movement would be heard clearly. This was the reason I was hearing such a loud sound. It felt as if someone was moving here and there. I tried ignoring it and started sleeping, hoping this night would pass somehow. But that sound kept tormenting me. Once I felt like getting up and looking outside. But even if nothing was seen outside, the scene was such that even the bravest of people would be scared. This was the reason why I was not getting the courage to go out. I felt the presence of someone outside. It felt like someone was moving around my heart. At first, I thought I should get up and see if it was a human being. But if it was a human being, why would he move from here to there? Wouldn't he try to come in directly or call from outside? I just lay down quietly and kept listening to the environment. Then it felt like those footsteps were going away from my hut, and then there was silence for some time. I also started listening to that silence. Now I could not hear the sound of those footsteps. While walking, they had gone a little away from this hut, but it was not that those footsteps had gone very far. They were still nearby, just away from the hut. Then I heard a sound, as if someone was trying to open the lock of my truck door, which is not a lock with a key, but a handle. You just open it and get into the truck. The sound started coming to me, as if someone was trying to open it. Since I had locked that side, the lock of the side next to the front seat driver was faulty. Now, whoever he was, despite trying on that side, when the door did not open, he got down from the truck and moved completely to the other side of the truck. I am guessing this only from the sound while lying inside. Then he comes to this side, and as soon as he opens the lock, the door of the truck opens. In the silence outside, I was hearing the sound of my truck, the proper sound of a door opening, as soon as someone got into the truck. Now, as you all know, without putting the key in the car, its headlights get turned on and its horn goes on. I started feeling from outside as if the light had turned on and then turned off. Then, after a while, it turned on and then turned off again, as if someone was turning it on and then turning it off repeatedly. The sound of the car honking from outside was echoing in that forest in such a way that I cannot describe it to you. If it were a human being, I would have immediately got up and asked who it was. But the movements did not seem to be of a human being. That's why I did not have the courage to go out and stop whoever it was. Sometimes I also felt that it could be a human being, but I was relieved that I had the keys to the truck with me. No one can steal my truck and take it away. With great difficulty, I had brought it to this place on this rough road at this height. Only a technical person could drive it like me. So I was quite relieved that my truck would not go anywhere from here. I had also put stones under the tires of the truck so that it wouldn't move here and there. Still, these activities that were happening had drawn me very badly. Whoever it was, sitting in the cabin of the truck, sometimes blew the horn, sometimes turned on the light, and was doing very strange things. After some time, I heard that sound again, as if someone opened the left door, came out of the truck, and closed the door with a bang. That sound echoed quite well in that silence. Then there were footsteps again. They started coming closer to my hut and moving around it. Here, I would like to tell you one thing. There was a small gap in my hut. My eyes were on that gap because I had closed all the things. I noticed that gap later. I was constantly looking at that gap while lying on my bed, thinking that whoever is outside can only see me from there, or I can see him from there. After a long silence, I started feeling that someone was very close to the hut. Suddenly, my condition worsened when I saw an eye in that gap of the hut, as if someone was trying to look inside. When the light of my mobile was on, there was some light in the hut. Otherwise, there was a lot of darkness in the hut, which made it impossible for anyone to see inside. But I don't know which creature it was. I could see its eye in the light of the moon outside. Oh my God, those were not the eyes of any human being. My guess was correct. Whatever it was very strange. After that, I started hearing wolves howling from a distance. I heard the sound of jackals, and it seemed as if they had seen someone from a distance and were very aggressive. Now, I saw that as soon as I heard the sound of those jackals, there was more movement here, as if someone became restless. I felt as if 6 to 7 jackals were coming running from a distance, and they were very aggressive. I could hear their growling sounds and their breathing from a distance. They were running, making growling sounds. When they came near this hut, I heard that whoever was here started running away in great panic. He was running towards the lower part of the mountain. Those jackals that were coming from there. I guessed from the sound alone that they were behind him, and he started running. The sound of his footsteps was thumping. I heard the jackals' sounds, and they were behind him, running down the slope of the mountain into the jungle. After going very far, it seemed as if those jackals had caught someone and were biting him. I don't know, Adnan. It feels very strange to tell this, but it was true, and such a horrific scene. Right now, I was only hearing the sound. I don't know anything about the reality, who it was, what it was like, and whom these animals had caught in this jungle. Anyway, I lay down for a long time, but I kept hearing the same sound from a distance, as if the jackals had caught someone, like they kill a prey and then eat it. It was exactly the same situation. After that, curiosity got the better of me, and I thought, this is very far from me. Let's go and see who these jackals have caught. I gathered courage, wrapped a sheet around myself, and got up to look outside the hut. I could clearly see my truck standing at some distance from the hut. Now, I started going in the direction of that sound. I had turned on the torch of my mobile and kept walking in the direction of the sound. When I reached very close to those sounds, I realized the slope made it seem as if the sounds were coming from the ditch itself. That meant I was about to see that scene right away. It was not that it was right in front of me, it was right below. Now I was about to face them because I had reached very close to the sound. When I reached that place while walking, I shone the torch there, and the ground slipped under my feet. The scene I saw was horrifying. I saw that those jackals were writhing, feeling as if some supernatural creature had caught them. They were screaming and unable to free themselves. It was a very strange scene. When my attention shifted, I initially thought they were tree trunks, but when I shone the light upwards, I saw a creature as tall as a tree looking at me from above. I had to lift my head completely to see it. Oh my God, I ran back towards that hut. Although there was no safe place nearby, that hut was the only shelter I could find. I kept running, and it felt as if someone was running behind me, taking big steps. I kept running until I finally reached and entered my hut. I blew on the Ayatul Kursi all around my hut. It seemed as if the same thing was outside my hut again. I regretted that those animals had diverted that creature towards themselves, but I had made a mistake by going there. That creature was now behind me. It seemed as if someone was taking deep breaths outside and growling. The sound of its breathing, the sound of its walking, the atmosphere outside. It was so scary that I remember this incident vividly to this day. But the surprising thing was that whatever creature it was not daring to come inside. I don't know why. Although there was no big lock on the door of that hut, any person could have easily opened it by pushing it. But that creature was so scared that it was not able to enter inside. I was outside the hut, and every moment I felt that it would come inside and catch me. But I don't know why it couldn't come inside. I came to know later. Anyway, whatever creature it was now angry. It seemed as if it picked up a stick or something and started hitting my truck. The sound of thumping was echoing in that jungle, in those mountains. After some time, there would be a sound as if someone was hitting the metal hard. Now I understood that whatever creature it was instigating me to come out of this hut so it could attack me. That's why it was tampering with my truck. The sound was so bad that I would shake while lying inside on my bed. It would hit my truck so hard. Then, at one point, the sound stopped. There was silence, and from a distance, I could hear the same roar of the jackal. I don't know if it had still done the same thing with those jackals there. Anyway, now there was silence. After some time, I felt as if the truck's tires were being let out of the air. In that silence, it felt as if someone had first let out air from one tire, then the second, then the third or the fourth, as if someone had pressed their nozzles with a gap of a few seconds. Now the air was being let out of all 4 tires. There was so much weight in those tires and so much pressure that their noise was very high. The sound of all 4 tires was clearly audible. Anyway, it just wanted this, which I had understood, that I should somehow get out of this hut. But I was patient, kept reading, and lay down silently. Such activities kept happening the whole night. The night passed with God's name. When I woke up in the morning, I saw that all 4 tires of my truck had deflated. Someone had let out all the air. There was no one outside. It was just my truck and the goods loaded on it. It was morning. Anyway, I waited for the laborers to arrive and hand over the goods to them. But I also had to get air filled in all 4 tires of my truck. I couldn't take it out from here and take it away. I would have to bring the air here and fill it with something. As soon as it was morning, some laborers reached there with breakfast in their hands. The owner had informed them earlier that the truck driver was sleeping beyond the location and they should take breakfast for him. I thanked them for coming and had breakfast. While eating breakfast, when I saw my hut, there were 4 words written on a paper in the hut. It was a printed paper and was hanging on this hut. Perhaps this was the reason that the creature could not muster the courage to enter the hut. So, this was the most terrifying night of my life which I faced during truck driving. This is a completely true incident which I shared with you by loves. If you like it, then do share it on your channel. Thank you very much for sharing your story with us. So friends, I hope you liked today's story. If you liked the story, do not forget to like the video. If you are on my channel, then subscribe to the channel as well. If you have not heard these 2 stories of mine yet, then go and listen to them. It is recommended from my side. They are very good stories. Do give me your opinion in the comments. I read comments and I like it. You people make very good and positive comments. Thank you so much. Take good care of yourself and remember me in your prayers. Give me your permission. See you in another interesting story.